I am so excited that you're here for this episode of the She Means Business Show because I had the most amazing chat with the incredible Sunny Lenarduzzi. She is a social media consultant and a business growth coach. She has amazing programs that teach people how to actually use YouTube to grow their businesses. When we wanted help with growing our YouTube following and engagement to be able to leverage YouTube to build our business, we bought her course. And in this episode, she is diving into how you can use YouTube to grow your business, basically. How you can actually make it work for you. What are the steps you need to take in order to create content for YouTube and how to make it work for growing your business. I also talk about how I've used YouTube to grow FEA. It's been a strategy of mine right back since 2011, I think, or 2012. I've been creating weekly videos and it's just been so powerful for me. I know so many of you want to know how to actually use YouTube because YouTube is a powerful search engine. It's not like Instagram where our content disappears after like 48 hours, 24 hours. It's there forever. I still get people finding me because of videos I put on YouTube 5+ years ago. It's really powerful. So I really hope you love this episode. Get your notebook and pen at the ready. You are watching the She Means Business Show with me, Carrie Green. I'm the founder of the Female Entrepreneur Association and the author of the best-selling book, She Means Business. And every single week, I'm going to be talking with you about how you can turn your ideas into a wildly successful business and actually live the life of your dreams. You can do this, and I'm so excited to show you how. So let's get started. Hello everyone, I am so excited that you're joining me for this episode of the She Means Business Show because we have someone very special. We have Sunny Lenarduzzi with us. Hello, I'm so excited you're here.
So happy to be here.
I feel like this is really overdue. I mean, I know we were just saying this before we hit record, but like I've seen you obviously all over the internet for such a long time and I just love your stuff. We were just talking about how we'd bought Sunny's course for our videographer so we can, improve our YouTube strategy, and I'm just so happy that you're here and we're getting to chat.
That's so awesome. And it's such a funny full circle moment for me because your book was one of the first books I ever read in this space. So,
so cool.
Yeah, I think we've been far away fans of each other for a while.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with that. So I'm really excited to chat with you because obviously one of the things you do is really help people with utilizing YouTube as a tool for creating organic growth and growing their businesses. And YouTube is something that I started using. Well, I started it in my first business, which was random phone unlocking, but I realized I could do like little tutorials and like how-to videos, and they actually started to rack up a lot of views, which was interesting. But when I started the Female Entrepreneur Association, I early on started to do videos and get them on YouTube. And while my videos don't have like individually, they don't get like tons and tons of, like they get maybe, I don't know, a few thousand views on a video or something, maybe, I don't know. But it's kind of like, it's like a web that I've weaved this web of content that's like on YouTube that people are searching, and like sometimes we get like all these leads coming in and these sales, and I'm like, where is this coming from? And it's just from really old YouTube stuff that's just was like back in the day. So it's really powerful, but I know so many people want to use YouTube, but they just don't know how to actually make it work. So let's just talk about it. Where should we begin?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a good question. And I do feel like it's looked at as like this black hole of just how do you make this work for me? And obviously, this is my business. So I've been doing this for 6 years, and we really focus on creating profitable audiences for the people that we work with. So it is different when you're approaching YouTube from the lens of I'm a business owner and an entrepreneur versus I'm an entertainer and just a creator. And they're both great, but it depends the path that you want to take. And after studying the platform for 6 years, I've really identified that there are 3 levels of content on the platform and 3 categories, and that's really it. And when you understand those 3 categories, it actually helps you navigate YouTube a lot easier because you're able to set expectations. A big issue with YouTube is that it really is different than any other platform. It is daunting. It can feel like you're just screaming into the void and no one can hear you. And you're putting effort into creating this content without feeling like you're getting the return. So there's a couple things to look at. First of all, the 3 categories. What you just talked about, that's evergreen content. And for entrepreneurs, evergreen content is basically free advertising. It works for you when you're not working. It generates leads for you when you're not working. It's truly magic. And for me, it makes me wonder why every single person isn't using YouTube, to be honest, because for me, I kind of fell into it backwards, and I started with evergreen content, and I really just started because I had clients at the time in my agency, and I had hit a ceiling, and I couldn't take on any more clients, and I was so overwhelmed with going to meetings and getting on phone calls, and my clients oftentimes were asking me the same things over and over again. So I was like, how do I just answer their questions without having to speak to each person individually? So I sat down and filmed a tutorial, and my first tutorial was about how to use Periscope for your business. I had no audience, no strategy, random family videos on my YouTube channel at the time. I filmed the video with a window and a webcam, sent it to my clients, and the next day I woke up and there was thousands of views on it, and I had no idea what I had done. And I reverse engineered it and realized, okay, no one else has made a video on this topic yet. It's a hot topic right now because it had just premiered at South by Southwest, and it was this big platform that everyone wanted to try. So there was all these people searching for tutorials on it. So my video is getting all this traffic. And not just that, I was getting people, I didn't even know what a lead magnet was. I didn't know what an email list was at the time. And I was getting all these people finding my website and reaching out to me and saying, wow, you're really good at teaching social media. Like, would you be a consultant for our company? And I was like, from one video, and I had like half a dozen people in my inbox asking me. And so I thought, okay, if I tap into this and just test it for the next year and make a video a year answering common questions about social media and marketing, because I had been doing it for so long at that point, I was like, what would happen? So I just treated it as an experiment. I made an evergreen piece of content, which means it's a searchable piece of content. And evergreen content is something that maybe isn't going to get like virality and a ton of views, but it's going to rack up views over time. And those views are hyper targeted for the exact client that you want for your business. So every time somebody finds that video, they're ultimately going to be nurtured into becoming a client, whether it's right away or it's 6 months down the road. So that content for me just kept working. 6 months later, a year later, I had 3 million views and 50,000 subscribers, and my business had blown up, and I was getting asked to speak all over the world. So that's one kind of content. And for entrepreneurs, that's the most important piece of content to understand, because it really is a great way to scale your business and take yourself out of lead generation and have something working for you in the back end. The other kinds of content, one is depth. So if you think of it as a scaling funnel, which is how I describe it, evergreen's at the bottom, and it's going to get the smallest audience, the most hot and targeted audience for your business. Depth content is basically to retain your audience, to make sure that you remain the go-to person and the go-to authority that they want to speak to and they want to listen to and they want to ultimately buy from. So depth content is not necessarily searchable. It doesn't rely on keywords. It's more storytelling and relating to your audience on a very human level, sharing your experiences, sharing, incidents or things that have happened in your business that are relatable to them. And it really appeals to your existing audience and subscriber base. So that's who's going to be watching those videos. Again, not viral views, but they can have viral views depending on the subject matter. But really go deep with your audience, not wide, to continue to nurture them into becoming a client. The top of the funnel is viral content, and viral content is amazing for short-term eyeballs, brand awareness, growing your audience. But viral content is only amazing if it's highly relevant to what you ultimately are trying to talk about on YouTube and what you want to be known for. Because if you go viral for a topic that you don't even care about or want to be known for, it actually does so much more harm than good, because it feeds the algorithm with information about you being an authority on a topic that you're not and that you don't care to talk about again. But what it does is when you have success with views on your videos, it tells YouTube that's the kind of channel you are. And so if you aren't making more content on that same topic, your videos aren't going to do super well. So it's important to understand just the layers to it and the purpose of each kind of content. Viral content really is based around trends. It's based around hot topics. It's based around things that are happening in your industry. It's based on other content on other channels that have a similar audience to you that have done well, reacting, that kind of stuff. And they all have a purpose, but they all have different reasons for being created and different expectations. And what I see so often is people start creating content on YouTube, they don't get that viral hit and they're like, it's not working. But so a metric that I think is really important and something that we talk about with our clients is dollar per subscriber. So you think about this in terms of ads. I'm sure that you run paid advertising, paid traffic. So when you look at advertising, if you're creating an ad and it's getting millions of views, or if it's a video ad or impressions, but 0 conversions, what's the point? So you kind of have to think about YouTube in the same way. So for example, we have a client who has 16,000 subscribers on his channel, started from 0. He is generating $250,000 a month in his business, leveraging YouTube. No paid advertising, completely organic. So he has an online course, which we helped him create, and he has the YouTube channel. So when you pair those two things together, you can increase your dollar per subscriber by a lot. So he's got $80 a subscriber is what each subscriber is worth.
Wow.
Whereas I have another client who came into our program, started working with us, and she had 200,000 subscribers, but she was making $12,000 a year in Adsense. So $1,000 a month. She then stopped focusing on the monetization strategy on YouTube because honestly, it's like having a really temperamental boss. And you have no idea what you're going to get. And it's really hard to control what you make from monetization on YouTube. And she created her own program and she's now generating $20,000 a month consistently. And still $1,000 from AdSense, but $20,000 from her online programs. So, and again, she's got 250,000 subscribers and she was making like 0.5 or she was making 5 cents a subscriber before. And now she's increased that by a ton. So it's looking at how quality are my subscribers? How qualified are they for my programs? How relevant are they? That's how you know you're actually succeeding on YouTube. It's not the vanity metrics. It's really the value. And what are you getting out of what you're putting into it?
Yeah, that is so interesting. And it's interesting to see that like initially someone with like a lot less subscribers was actually generating a lot more money because they were doing it in a really thought through way. I think it's really interesting as well, like how you were saying, just addressing like the top questions that you're getting in from your customers or your potential customers, your audience, and like answering those questions that are coming up. And do you is there like a way, like a simple way, or what's like a quick tip for like getting started with that? And because I think people are like, okay, great, but I don't even know how to even do that. But I feel like you can make it so easy these days.
You can, for sure. So we actually created something called a YouTube blueprint to make it easy. And it's pretty in depth. And I'm definitely like a research nerd. So I put a lot of time into creating a systematic approach to creating content topics. And once you understand how to do it, it's basically this working document that you can use for the rest of time to input your ideas into. So the very first thing that I have clients start with is, what was your own, I call it your hero's journey. So what was your own hero's journey in your business? And what were all of the things that you had to overcome and that you had to learn in order to be successful? Because everything that you've learned, you ultimately are able to teach other people. And if somebody wants to get where you've gone, they want to know how to do those things. So that's the first place to start, with ideas for searchable evergreen content, FAQs, that kind of thing. And then the next thing is really understanding, okay, if I'm looking at my industry and I'm looking at the people that I'm working with, or if you don't have clients right now, looking at who are the top performers in your industry and across the platforms, what kind of content gets the most engagement for them? And are any of those content topics tutorial based? And if they are, write them down. So gathering those ideas from other sources, but also gathering them for yourself. And I actually have a list of notes in my phone where when my clients ask me questions or I'm on a call with them, I write them down and I'm like, okay, that's a great video topic. And it just becomes this never ending stream for you. And the questions never go away realistically. And so the best way to sort of think about it is, what ultimately do you want to be known for? And what are all of the ways that your client would be searching for the solution that you provide with your business. And I mentioned this earlier to you, but I kind of call it the stalker strategy. It's like everywhere that somebody looks on YouTube for the solution that you provide, you want to have a video that shows up for them in the search results.
Yeah. And that's what I love about the fact that since doing videos for so many years, it's just like weaving that web. So there's a launch going on at the moment, and someone said to me, "Oh, you're on the leaderboard," and I was like, "What? How am I on the leaderboard?" I was like, "I haven't promoted it," and it was like, "Well, you're there," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it must just be because it was the same affiliate link, but like my videos are still getting views, and some of the videos that I'd made on that topic get a lot of views per month, or actually, when I say a lot, I mean like." I think maybe some of them get like 1,000 views a month, but still it's 1,000 people or potentially 1,000 people.
Really targeted people.
Yeah. Looking at that. And then obviously then like, oh, I want to know more. And so it's just like constantly builds. Like I remember one time, I think it was last year at some point, I was looking at like how many new leads we'd had come in over like a 3-month period. I literally like fell off my chair. I was just like, what? I can't believe it. And it's just all coming in through like YouTube and like all those videos that are out there. And that's what I love the most about YouTube is that it's not the same as like Instagram. Like Instagram is really powerful in its own way, but like you put something on Instagram and basically is, you know, what you've put on like last year is gone. So it's just like, it feels like such a waste. Whereas like YouTube, it's just like building and building and building. And I love the compounding impact that has. It's just amazing, especially for entrepreneurs that are going to be like, well, in my community and who are showing up and creating memberships or courses or doing one-on-one services. And, you know, it's just so relevant and so powerful. I love it.
Yeah. And I think that when people ask me, you know, why YouTube and what's the benefit, I feel really fortunate that I kind of fell into it by accident because I really do look at it as completely different than any other platform. The only other platforms that kind of work in a similar fashion, I would say, would be Pinterest, because it has that search functionality too. But you have to remember, like, YouTube is owned by the largest search platform in the world. Search is their jam. So that's never going to not be a thing. And I've been doing it for 6 years and it's always been a benefit to me. And so with YouTube, you make one video, I have videos from 6 years ago that still bring in leads for me every single day. And I've done absolutely nothing for it. And it's, again, just free advertising. So that's the cool thing about YouTube is that like it basically works for you when you're not working. And the shelf life of it is you make the one video, it'll last for years and years and years. I have videos from 6 years ago that bring in leads for me every single day. And Instagram, I call it an on-demand platform. So, I mean, you know, just as well as I do, you put out a piece of content and it will get an immediate surge of interest, but the shelf life on it is like a couple of days. And then it basically just dies unless somebody actively goes to your profile to seek it out. But that's really not how Instagram works. Nobody's going to Instagram or Facebook to search for an answer to their question. Whereas YouTube, you have your clients and customers going there every single day, searching for an answer to their question or a solution to their problem. You just have to show up. You just have to make the content to be in front of them when they are looking for that. And when you are solving somebody's problem, they're so much warmer of a lead because they're like, I'm already in pain. I already know I need this help. And then this angel is showing up and just telling me what I need to know, which makes the conversion a lot easier too for your business.
Yeah. Do you think it's important in the videos that you're putting out then to have a real intention as to like, what is the purpose of this piece of content? And like, what is the call to action that I'm going to get then someone to take?
Yeah. So with YouTube, I always say that the formula for success on YouTube is relevancy plus intention plus you. That's the formula for success. So most importantly, understanding that you're not supposed to be relevant to absolutely everybody because that just basically, you want to think about YouTube as an ocean. And if you're trying to appease everybody, you're going to sink to the bottom of the sea because how it works is the algorithm needs to understand where to place you. And so I look at it as like hockey stick growth. So your first couple of videos on YouTube should very much so be search related, keyword heavy, so that the algorithm can categorize you for a specific topic. And then from there, it's going to leverage its traffic sources once it understands who, as a viewer, you're trying to reach and what ultimately you're trying to say, and what category you want to be in. Then it's going to start to push you out into all of these different traffic sources, and that's going to help you grow further and faster. So it's understanding that, again, you have to know your viewer before, ideally, you get started on the platform, because that makes every piece of content hyper relevant to that viewer. And then YouTube, the algorithm will work for you to reach more people like that. And again, that just catapults your free advertising. So relevancy is super important. Intention is vital. So the reason I say that is because views are not the only metric on YouTube. Retention is super, super important. And retention comes from having a clear outcome on your videos and a clear plan to your videos of why somebody should watch, and also how to keep them engaged throughout the entire video. Because if somebody clicks and you have a high click-through rate, CTR, and you have high views technically, or velocity in the first day, but the retention is like 10-20%, they're going to slowly kill that video, because they know that, okay, maybe it's getting clicks, but it's really not actually providing anything of value. So having a clear intention for your content and for your channel is super important going into it, so that it is very clear in the algorithm where you're supposed to be, who you're supposed to be reaching, so that the algorithm can actually help you. But more than that, the viewer feels like you actually care about their time and their experience when it comes to your video, and they're not just sitting there waiting for you to get to the goods. So clear intention is super, super important. And then why I say that is because I think it's the most insane or bizarre thing to think that, and I fell into this trap, you get onto YouTube and you're trying to be like everybody else. And you're looking at all these other channels and you're like, oh, well, that person's talking about that and that person's looking like that, and I need to meld myself into a version of that. It's called YouTube for a reason.
Yeah.
The more you are, the more success you're going to see, and also the more you're going to stand out, because nobody can be you. So combining those three factors really is the secret sauce.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's so important. I remember when I did my first video though, my gosh, I watched it back and I thought I was enthusiastic, and I was like, oh my God, it's like I'm so bored. Like I just was so stiff. And I was like, I really realized I needed to be a little bit more enthusiastic. But it was in the first like, I don't know, year or so, I was just muddling my way through, just practicing and then, but even some of those really old videos, I mean, some of them I look back on now and I think, God, they still get so many views, and that's one that I look like I've been dragged through a bush backwards. I don't know what was happening, but it's really cool to have them out there. And
yes,
I actually did create a lot of call to actions back then in terms of like just getting people on, like whether it was like a little freebie or just to kind of come on this journey with me.
Absolutely. And that's the cool thing about YouTube. You look back, like I look back at my old videos and I'm like, oh, look at her. Look at her go. Like she had no idea what she was doing. But that's the thing. In the beginning, like I didn't even, again, know what an email list was, didn't know what an online course was, didn't know what an online business really was. I had been running my little social media agency offline kind of for 4 years. And when I first started making videos, didn't even have a call to action on them. I was just giving people all the information, and then eventually figured out, oh, I should probably capture people into like an email list or something. Once I did that and I started offering freebies with my videos and had clear call to actions to get people on my email list, things exploded. So definitely important to understand that YouTube is one thing, but again, using it as a business owner is so different, because you don't just want to keep people on the platform. You also want to capture them so that they become part of your ecosystem, and you really are everywhere they go as the go-to authority.
Yeah, I think that's the thing as well. It's like you create so much authority when you show up on video, because when people like can see and hear you, and it's really interesting because like over the years just of putting videos out, and like I said, my videos don't get like masses of views, but like I remember once I was doing a TEDx talk and I was in the toilets beforehand and I was like washing my hands, and someone came up to me and she was just like, oh my gosh, you're Carrie Green. I was like, I am, like, yeah. And she was like, and she like watched the videos, and I was like, it's so funny that it's just. And I get it, because like when I watch other people's videos, I feel the same way. I mean, once I was like at an airport and I saw this person who I'd watched her YouTube videos, and I felt like such a fangirl. But that is the power of YouTube, and like we all have the ability to like do it and to leverage that platform and to create that authority. And when we're building businesses and we want people to connect with us, and you know, like we need to get them to fall in love with us so that they want to actually buy from us. It's just such a powerful way to do it, especially when you have a business where you're going to work with people one-on-one, or you're going to teach them something through a course or a membership. Like they have to be able to feel like they get you and they connect with you. And like, oh my gosh, I just want to sign up because I just love you so much. Like,
it does go hand in hand with the idea of like the law of reciprocity, because, and that's something that I truly didn't understand until I started to monetize. Like, I didn't even think about building a business off of YouTube. I just thought, oh, this will be great for like new clients, you know, in my little consulting business. But then it grew to such a point where I was like, I can't work with all these people.
Yeah.
So I started creating online courses, but when I launched that first course, it wasn't the best by any means, but I had so many people that were interested and signed up simply because for almost a year, every week I had shown up to deliver them some sort of value. And so by the time I had something to offer, they were like, let me add it. I don't even care what it is.
Yeah.
And so it's unbelievable what happens when you use the platform and focus on value versus virality, because even if one person watches the video and they're super impacted by what you have to say, that one person ultimately is going to want to work with you and stick with you for life. And I think that's also a big difference that's overlooked on YouTube with platforms like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, which again, all great. I don't use TikTok. I just can't yet, but I consume it, but I don't create on it. And the biggest difference is like somebody could be walking down the street looking at Instagram, and somebody could be like, you know, doing a million other things, like kind of scroll holing in their phone. Whereas on YouTube, you're making long form content, even if it's a 7-minute video or an 8-minute video. If somebody is going to YouTube, their intent is to watch a video. Whereas on Instagram, on Facebook, there is no clear intent of the kind of content people are consuming. It's all over the place. So you're getting people who are going to watch that video and actually pay attention. So the level of loyalty from viewers on YouTube is so much higher because they've invested so much time into you and your content.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. I just think it's such a great strategy. And like you said about how then you create that warm-up content or that content to engage your current subscribers. I remember, I think it was 2016, I started this vlog. And I was just like, I'm actually so grateful to myself for doing it. Because like I look back now and I like vlogged my wedding and vlogged my honeymoon and all these fun things. But even though it's kind of like for me, I remember getting messages from people being like, I've been on a night out, you've just released some vlogs. I literally, she was like, I went home right away and just binge watched what you released. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it's so funny and amazing. Like
it is.
And I get hooked on watching people, and it's just so much more entertaining and interesting on YouTube because you just feel like they're just talking to you, and it's just a much more powerful connection. And it's fun. It's fun. And it's a bit scary as well, but people...
It is a bit scary. It is a platform where you have to really put yourself out there and you're not hiding behind curating what you're putting up. So it's very vulnerable, but that's also what makes it so powerful because it creates this trust factor faster than anything else.
Yeah, it's incredible. Obviously you've built up your subscribers. You've got loads of subscribers now. Have you got like 500,000?
Yeah, I've got 500,000 at this point, which is kind of insane.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
What would you say, there probably isn't one, but like if there was like one biggest thing that you've done that really has helped you to have a breakthrough and get to really grow your subscribers like you have, what would you say it is?
You know what? It just really has been, I would say honestly, and this is I think what makes me a really good teacher when it comes to YouTube, because I have been testing and trying things for 6 years. I actually truthfully have a lot of subscribers that are inactive and people that are kind of drive-by subscribers. So that's why I don't really focus on subscribers, because it's really about having the right ones and the relevant ones to drive that exponential growth. For me, it's been a combination of being really consistent with value-based evergreen content. And those videos just rack up subscribers every single day. So not only are they bringing in business and sales and leads, but these people are watching these videos going, oh my gosh, that's the person I want to learn from. So those videos rack up subscribers. The other thing is truly understanding where is the algorithm placing you and where do you have the most authority in the algorithm, and then doubling down on that kind of content. So for me, if you look back at the history of my channel, it's all social media tutorials that are like my biggest breakthrough videos. It has to do with either video creation or it has to do with social media platforms like Instagram and YouTube. So if I make a video about YouTube, if I make a video about Instagram, that puppy is taken off, and I know it is. Whenever I want to talk about anything else, a lot of my subscribers just subscribed because they found this value-based video and they're like, oh, that's great. Okay, but I don't really need her anymore. So in the last year, I've been trying to really focus on depth content. So for me, views and subscribers haven't been a huge focus, but those old videos are still growing my subscriber base passively. So I think it's really important if I could go back in time, and this is what we help our clients with, again, being super intentional with the audience and the viewer you do want to attract, because really what's creating exponential growth on YouTube and what I've come to learn with our clients is it starts with the viewer, and it really is a flywheel. We use flywheels in my business all over the place. We have the flywheel for like revenue growth, and then we have a flywheel for YouTube growth. It starts with the viewer, really understanding who that viewer is, what they need from you, creating highly relevant content for that viewer, the algorithm then understanding who you're trying to reach and what you want to be categorized in. And then the algorithm uses its internal traffic sources like browse, suggested, search to draw in more viewers like that. And then from there, you attract more ideal viewers, you create more relevant content, algorithm continues to categorize you as the go-to authority, continues to push you with the traffic sources internally, so you're not having to even do anything. And it just creates this upward momentum of like insane growth.
I just love that so much. It's so simple, but like makes so much sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's a big misconception and mistake people make with YouTube is like they kind of get started without a clear plan, and it's not a platform to do that. So you really want to have a clear plan and intent with what you're getting on YouTube for.
Yeah. I love everything you've shared. It's so helpful and so practical, and I'm excited for everyone listening to go and leverage YouTube, because it's just such a powerful platform for, like what you said, creating that just passive growth and just
Absolutely.
like evergreen growth, really, which is just, I mean, who doesn't want that? Like,
who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want to work less, you know?
I know, right? Thank you so much for coming and sharing all of this. It's so helpful. I'll put everything in like the show notes so everyone's got like a breakdown of all the wonderful things you've been sharing. But obviously I know you've got so many resources, and obviously your entire channel and everything that you've got that can help people more. Can you just give us a quick overview of all that, and then we'll include that in the show notes too?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the best place to start, truthfully, is at workwithsunny.com. It basically will give you a 40-minute masterclass that will show you exactly how to leverage all of the strategies that I've just mentioned in terms of using your unique genius and your knowledge to scale organically with YouTube. So I'm really excited for you to check it out. We've had over 80,000 people do the training and develop their ideas around it. So I think it'll be really, really helpful for your audience.
That is amazing. I will make sure that goes in the show notes. And what are you on YouTube so everyone can come and watch your videos?
Just my name. So you can find me everywhere with my name. I'm most active on YouTube and on Instagram.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing that. And I'll make sure all of that is linked so that everyone can go and check it out, because it's a game changer for business, I really think.
It really is.
I think people will thank themselves in years to come when they actually decide to go for it and to do this, because
for sure.
It just builds and builds and builds on itself.
I call it the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, it really is.
It really is.
So, Sunny, thank you so much. It's been amazing chatting to you. And I've just loved listening to all of your tips, and just makes me think I need to get back into YouTube stuff. I hope you have enjoyed listening to this episode. We will be back next week for another episode of the She Means Business Show. Bye, everyone.
That I'm not having to put any extra effort into. There's my husband in his watching. You want to cut that part? Real quick. Thank you so much.
I just saw his head peep around the corner. I was trying all my might not to burst out laughing.
I'm dead. You knew I was doing this morning too. I'm dead. Oh my God.
It's so funny.
Are we able to cut that?
Don't know, I might have to stick it at the end just for fun. No. I hope you loved this week's episode of the She Means Business Show. If you want more help and support to build a wildly successful business, then join hundreds of thousands of women and become an FEA insider. You'll get access to some of our amazing freebies, to our bonuses, to our giveaways, to so much good stuff. Head over to femaleentrepreneurassociation.com/insider to get all of the goodness. And I will see you next week for another episode of the She Means Business Show.